Well, I mean, look, Spence now has a huge challenge ahead of him, which I really like that fight with Spence and Pacquiao. I think that's, in my opinion, this is a classic 50-50 fight. And give you reasons why Spence is going to win, and give you plenty of reasons why Pacquiao is going to win. It's a fascinating matchup, and I think it's going to make Spence even bigger. And he sells out there, Jerry World in Dallas. So he's really moving in the right direction. And I think this fight is for him as an athlete, as a person. But really, as a crossover star, this is a huge. This is the biggest test of his career. If he can beat Manny Pacquiao, that will elevate him to a totally different level. And unfortunately, Crawford has been sort of like a bit sitting on not sitting on the sidelines, but he was sort of like not that it was his fault at all. He's sort of been sitting on the sidelines as it relates to quality of opponents. Because in his particular weight class, most opponents are on the other side of the street, as they say, or if it's a Sean Porter or Danny Garcia or Keith Thurman, Mikey Garcia, all these guys, and they sort of like he had a difficult time getting these marquee names. So if you don't really get these marquee names, you're sort of like market value is sort of like stuck, and if the other guy keeps getting these marquee names and keeps fighting these big fights and making these big amounts of money, then I can understand Errol why he's saying he should get the bigger split. And I'm sure Errol is convinced he's going to beat him, and so is Crawford. So probably the one thing to do is you make it a real prize fight. You make it 45-45, and the winner gets the extra 10%. So something like that, or 40-40, and the winner gets an extra 20%. Then you make it really prize fighting at that level. So there's sort of like these kind of discussions I think are going to have to happen. And as we see now the network issue for these mega fights, if it's a smaller fight, it's very difficult to get these fights done because of what I said before. Networks don't want to let their fighters go after they invested all that money. So it's difficult for the smaller fights, still meaningful and interesting fights, but those fights which are really pay-per-view worthy, like a Crawford-Spence fight, would definitely be a pay-per-view fight, and it would be one of the biggest fights of the sport in any given year. Those, you can now make deals where both networks are carried the pay-per-view.